Hello everybody. Today at N.E.S.T Outreach we're going to be looking at reflexive pronouns. What is a reflexive pronoun? So a reflexive pronoun is used when the subject and the object of a sentence are the same. And a subject is the topic or area you're discussing, an object is the noun or particular thing you might be describing. For example, if Tony loves Tony, instead of saying Tony loves Tony, you would say himself. He loves himself. So instead of using the word twice, you have a reflexive pronoun. And here's some examples of how we convert the subject pronoun, object pronoun, possessive adjectives into a reflexive pronoun. So if you're talking about I, the self, the individual, you first of all might say I. So you could say I am going to the shop, or another way of saying that is I went to the shop myself at the end. So the subject pronoun I, the object pronoun me, the possessive adjective, which is my, and a possessive adjective just means it belongs to a particular person or thing. So you've got I, me, my, and that becomes myself as a reflexive pronoun. With you, you've got you for the subject pronoun, you for the object pronoun, your for the possessive adjective, and this becomes yourself. So if you're talking about, for example, Tony loves Tony, that becomes you love yourself as another way of doing it. And the next one we've got he for the subject pronoun, him, his, it's the male gender, and that becomes himself. Talking about she, her, or her becomes herself. It or its becomes itself. We, us, and our becomes ourselves. You and your becomes yourselves. They, them and their becomes themselves. And for example, I am Aisha, the subject pronoun. Aisha likes me, the object pronoun. You are my friend, possessive adjective. Or I introduce myself. So you're talking about the same thing as the beginning of the sentence. That's the distinction here. Whereas in the other sentences you're talking about a person describing another thing that is not related to the original start of the sentence. So the first task, write down the correct reflexive pronoun. I am confident, I believe in myself. And why is it myself? Because we're talking about I. Next up, it is difficult to make a stew. Can you do it? And I'll leave that blank for a bit and then we'll go back over the answers at the start. I don't need help. I can do it blank. And I'll leave that for you to work out. Clara cut her finger. She cut. I'll leave you to make up your mind for that. Aisha and Marcia made a cake. They made it. It's they, thinking about which reflexive pronoun we want to use here. Aisha, Marsha, the cake is great. Did you make it? Reflexive pronoun. Did you? So it's you. It's plural you in this case though. Gary talks a lot. He even talks to. Relating to reflexive pronoun for he. The dog sleeps alone. It sleeps by. I'll leave you to fill that in. We went to London by. Okay, so thinking about this one. Right, so just going over this, back to the start. It is difficult to make a stew. Can you do it? You. So the correct one is yourselves. Now, in this situation, we don't actually know whether it's singular or plural, but considering the photo or the picture has got one person, it's probably going to be singular, so I'm going to put yourself. Can you do it? Yourself. Apologies for the absolutely disgraceful handwriting, but yeah, I think you can make that out. So YOURSELF. I don't need help. I can do it. So if we're talking about I remember myself, so this becomes myself here. Fantastic. Clara cut her finger. She cut herself, so it becomes about her. So the reflexive pronoun is herself. Aisha and Marsha made a cake. They made it. So they, remember we're talking about themselves, plural. They made it themselves. Aisha, Marsha, the cake is great. Did you make it? You? And therefore the answer is yourselves. Did you make it yourselves? And it's plural in this case, so it will definitely be yourselves. Great, so Gary talks a lot. He even talks to, talking about he, so the answer is himself. He even talks to himself. Maybe he's talking to himself in his sleep, or maybe he's talking to himself for whatever reason, who knows. The dog sleeps alone. It sleeps by, so we're talking about it, and it's singular, so the answer is itself. And we have a nice drawing of a dog there, so the dog sleeps by itself. Next up, we went to London by, so we wouldn't say in this case we've got we, so you might think the answer might be we selves, would be one way of thinking about it, but if we're talking about we as collective, so it becomes ourselves. We went to London by ourselves. Okay. Brilliant. So next up, write the correct subject pronoun for the reflexive pronoun. So this time we are reversing the task, so we're going backwards, if you like. We've got the reflexive pronoun, now we need to work backwards to work out what's happened at the start of the sentence. We are looking at ourselves in the mirror. Blank always do my homework myself. Blank talk to themselves a lot. Blank usually cleans the house himself. Blank made herself a cup of coffee. Blank can feed itself. Blank can help yourself to some biscuits. Blank always go shopping by ourselves. Blank live by myself. Did blank buy yourselves ice cream at the beach? Okay, so the first one, remember relating to that last example, we have is a good way to start. So we have we as a subject pronoun and ourselves becomes the answer. For the next one, myself, so the answer is going to be I. And it wouldn't be me always do my homework myself. The best way to say it is actually I. Next up, we've got talk about themselves a lot. So it's them, and therefore the answer is they. And we don't know whether this is singular or plural, so it could be they as a group or they as an individual. Next up, usually he cleans the house himself, so the answer is he, because it's talking about himself. Made herself a cup of coffee, and that should be fairly straightforward following up for the next one. So it's she made herself a cup of coffee. Can feed itself, we don't know what the it is going to be, but it's going to be an it, so it could be an animal, probably most likely in this case. Can help yourself to some biscuits. So it's yourself, so the answer is going to be you. And this is a statement. You can help yourself to some biscuits. Always go shopping by ourselves, so it's our. Remember what we had for that? And we can look back to the first example, so the answer is going to be we. We always go shopping by ourselves. Blank live by myself. We had that example again at the start, so the answer is I. I live by myself. Next question. Did blank buy yourselves ice cream at the beach? Yourselves, so the answer is going to be you. Did you buy yourselves ice cream at the beach? Okay, brilliant. Next up, we have to select the correct pronoun, and you can use the table on page 1 for some help. Next, for the first example, Vera called Anne, she called she, so remember where the answer is going to be herself. She called herself. Oh, hold on. This is wrong, sorry. So, the correct pronoun. So, in this case, we're not actually looking at a reflexive pronoun. So that was my mistake. Vera called Anna. She called her. So it's talking about Anna. It's not a reflexive situation because the subject is different to the object. So Vera called Anna. Vera didn't call Vera. Vera called Anna. So actually the answer is going to be she called her. Next up, do you like blank trainers? They are blank favourites. So we're looking at just the pronoun, not a reflexive pronoun. And in this case it's going to be possessive, so it's my trainers. They are my favourites. Blank enjoyed blank at the cinema. So in this case, the object is the same as the subject. So she we have a reflexive pronoun in here. She enjoyed herself. At the cinema. Okay, great. I need to fix my bike. Something will not fix something. And the answer is going to be it. Because you're talking about a noun that's an inanimate object. That means it doesn't have life. Or you talk about it in relation to animals as well. It will not fix itself. Okay, brilliant. Next up, I can't help blank today. Can blank do it? Blank. So here we have someone else looking quite unhappy here. I can't help you today. Can you do it yourself? Next up, blank bought blank car in Margate, and we're using we here, so the answer is going to be we. We bought ourselves. We bought ourselves, the reflected pronoun, because the subject is the same as the object. And Margate is a place, just to clarify that. It's not, for example, talking about gate as in a market gate or a market. So Margate is a place in the south of England. Can you see my phone? I can't find, and the answer is going to be it, because it's just talking about a singular object here. Next up, blank like to buy blank myself. Sometimes. I've already given you the answer there, sorry. And the answer is going to be I like to be by myself. So it's self-reflective here. I like to be by myself sometimes. Next up, we've got I saw, and we have to choose from these, and it's not self-reflective, so it's going to be him, because it's just a singular pronoun in this case. I saw him at college yesterday. Next up, no, I don't know blank. Who are they? Is the answer for this one, because we've got two. Who are they? Question mark. So the first part of the sentence is no, I don't know them. I don't know them. Who are they? Next question. He did not make the soup. Blank. I helped blank. So in this case it's he did not make the soup himself. I helped him. Okay, for the next part, listen and write the correct pronoun. Hi, blank name is Aisha. Blank friend Tony and blank cooked blank a delicious dinner last night. So, hi, and the next bit is going to be my name is Aisha, and the next bit is also possessive, but remember the capital letter here. My friend Tony and I cooked ourselves because there's two here, So we've got two pronouns, it's a bit complicated. My friend Tony and I cooked ourselves, because we've got two here. So it becomes a plural. So the reflexive pronoun is ourselves. A delicious dinner last night. Next up, again we're going to start with my. So it's my friends, Marcel, Clara, and Clara invited. And the next bit, my friends, Marcel and Clara invited me. So it's talking about me. Invited me to my friends Marcel and Clara invited me to their dinner. So the next bit is they. It's talking about Marcel and Clara. They are fun, so they did not mind. Okay, next paragraph. Tony and blank don't usually cook for other people. Tony and myself in this situation. Tony and myself don't usually cook for other people. Next up is plural, so it's going to be we cook for ourselves, because it's not cooking for other people, it's just cooking for themselves. We cook for ourselves, and actually in this case I'm going to rub this out because I thought of a better way of doing it. So we don't cook for other people, and the answer is going to be I cook for myself, and he, talking about Tony, cooks for himself. Next part. Blank favourite dishes are different to Tony's. Talking about my favourite dishes. My favourite dishes are different to Tony's. I like salad and sandwiches, but he likes soups and stews. Next up, Marcel and Clara rarely cook for blank. Blank like to order food from restaurants because blank are not good at cooking. The last time Marcel cooked, blank cut blank and had to go to hospital. So in this case I think we've got Marcel and Clara rarely cook for themselves, because it's talking about a plural and it's themselves. Again we're talking about a plural, so the pronoun is going to be they. They like to order food from restaurants because they are not good at cooking. Next up, the last time Marcel cooked, he, because it's talking about Marcel, but not from his own perspective, so you're talking about Marcel as the object, so it's he cut himself. That becomes the reflexive pronoun we're going to use. He cut himself and had to go to hospital. Okay, so this final paragraph we're going to be looking at a few more examples, and this is quite interchangeable at this point. So after dinner, blank bought blank a cake. Blank rarely eats cake, but blank wanted to treat blank. So you can actually choose anything here and make it the right one. So for example, we're going to use they in this situation. After dinner, they bought themselves a cake. Apologies again for the absolutely disgraceful handwriting. They bought themselves a cake. So next up we're going to carry on using they. They rarely eat cake, but they wanted to treat themselves. Next sentence, Clara loves cake, so she, talking about Clara from somebody else's perspective, so she helped, and in this case it's herself. She helped herself to 2 slices. Marcel and Tony were hungry, so in this situation we've got they. They had to rest. So finally, we're going to discuss this last sentence, which is going to be we. We really enjoyed our evening, because the evening belongs to the group. In the future, we will cook for our friends more often. So I hope that's made sense, just clarifying where we're going to be using a reflexive pronoun or not. So just to recap over that, Clara cut her finger, she cut herself. Aisha and Marcia made a cake, they made it themselves. Aisha, Marcia, the cake is great. Did you make it yourselves? Gary talks a lot, he even talks to himself. The dog sleeps alone, it sleeps by itself. We went to London by ourselves. So in that case we're looking at the reflexive pronoun. The second exercise we kind of went over looking at the other way round, so the reversal of that previous exercise. We are looking at ourselves in the mirror. I always do my homework myself. They talk about themselves a lot. He usually cleans the house himself. She made herself a cup of coffee. It can feed itself. You can help yourself to some biscuits. We always go shopping by ourselves. I live by myself. Did you buy yourselves ice cream at the beach? And then going back over this, we were discussing the right use of a pronoun. So Vera called Anna, she called her. Do you like my trainers? They are my favourites. She enjoyed herself at the cinema. I need to fix my bike. It will not fix itself. I can't help you today. Can you do it yourself? We bought ourselves. Oh, I've realised I've got this wrong. Apologies about that. So instead of ourselves, it's going to be we bought our, because it's not a reflexive pronoun. We're just looking at the individual object there. So we bought our car in Margate. Can you see my phone? I can't find it. I like to be by myself sometimes. I saw him at college yesterday. No, I don't know them. Who are they? He did not make his soup himself. I helped him. And finally, we're looking at the correct pronoun in this situation. So it was, hi, my name is Aisha. My friend Tony and I cooked ourselves a delicious dinner last night. My friends Marcel and Clara invited me to their dinner. They are so fun, so they did not mind. Tony and myself don't usually cook for other people. I cook for myself and he cooks for himself. My favourite dishes are different from Tony's. I like salads and sandwiches, but he likes soups and stews. Marcel and Clara rarely cook for themselves. They like to order food from restaurants because they are not good at cooking. Last time Marcel cooked, he cut himself and had to go to hospital. After dinner, they bought themselves a cake. They rarely eat cake, but they wanted to treat themselves. Clara loves cake, so she helped herself to 2 slices. Marcel and Tony were hungry, so they had to rest. We really enjoyed our evening. In the future, we will cook for our friends more often. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of what we've learned today, and I hope that's clarified some positions, especially when you're talking about Tony loves Tony, he loves himself, or you might, for example, say, you wouldn't say we love we selves, you'd say we love ourselves. So this is really helpful for looking at reflexive pronouns, and I hope that has been a good lesson. Thanks very much.